Hello, my name is Luana Okino Sawada. I'll be walking you through on the code of my expert advisor Martingale VI Hybrid. Before beginning, I would like to introduce my mentor and product owner, Professor Masoud Sadjadi. So, let's start. So, Martingale VI Hybrid is an expert advisor that uses the move average strategy to decide if we'll do a buy order or a sell order. And after that, it will apply the Martingale strategy. The Martingale strategy is based on the idea that after a losing trade, it will double the next bet in order to recover all the money that was lost in the previous ones. Now that we have an overview about how our Martingale VI Hybrid expert advisor works, we'll check more in details the code. So we're gonna be going over through the variables and the methods. So this part here, it's the variables that are shown on the expert advisor and that we can change. So the first one, it's the take profit. The take profit is the value of each trade on this Martingale expert advisor. That means that it's a limit order that specify the exact price at which to close out or open a position for the profit. Then we have the pips tab, that will be the distance in pips which will open a new trade. We have the lot size, that is the value of initial lot, and will be in this case duplicating every step. For that we have a multiply variable that will set as 2, right? That the multiply variable is the multiplier value of every step of a new trade. And then we have the maximum trade, that is how many the maximum trades that we can run at the same time. So then we have these other variables, that the first one is just a string that will tell us that it's a fast moving average. So for that we have a period 1. The period 1 will have the value of 1 minute, and the same thing for the string 6, that will be the slow moving average, and the period will be 50 minutes. Okay. After that we have the close maximum orders set as true. That means that we will have a close maximum orders, and then we'll have the magic number, that is the unique number to identify orders. So all these variables at the beginning can be changed on Forex for doing optimization, and or you can just change it to see how the algorithm is gonna behave. So here we have our auxiliary variables that will help us to return or to show some results. We have set point, pips, error, the take profit, and the result rate. After that we have the parameters of the EA name and the EA comment, that will be always checked, so we can verify that is this expert advisor that is running and not other one. So going to the methods now, the first method that we have is the only init method, that is the expert initialization function. That means that it's gonna generate immediately after the expert advisor is downloaded. So it's getting the information that we want. So for the tick size, it's gonna get the information from the market watch window. So part of the information about the currency security is stored in the predefined variables. So we're sending the tick size, that's what we want, and the symbol. It's gonna check and it's gonna send us back the value of the tick size. So here we just have if that it's gonna verify if the tick size is this much or if it's this much, and then it will calculate the value of the pips, that will be the tick size times 10, and otherwise it will just the pips is gonna be the equal of the tick size. And then we're gonna have the take profit, and then we will return unit success, That means that we didn't have any errors. Okay, the most important function is the ontick function. That is basically the one responsible for all the trades. The first time we run this code, we're gonna attribute the wrong value to the date bar current, and after that, just this part of the code is gonna be executed on every tick, every trade basically. So we have the datetime previous is gonna receive the value of the current one, and then here we have an update of the current one. So in this case, we have the series info integer that is gonna return us the information about the state of the historical data, and it's gonna return the series last bar date as we're requesting here. So we're just gonna send it the symbol and the period and what we want, and this is gonna be attributed to this variable, to the date bar current. This is gonna happen every tick basically. So the value of the current one is gonna be updated, and the previous one too. That is gonna receive the previous value, and then it's gonna update it the current one. So for that, after that we created basically a flag, new bar flag, that is gonna check if they're different. So if they are different, we're gonna do our trades, and if the trade equals 2 and the info order open buy, then we're gonna do martingale buy. And if the trade is equal 1, we're gonna do the info order open sell equal 1, and then we're gonna do the martingale sell. So how this works, it's gonna call this function first, and it's gonna check the result. If it's 2, it's good, and it's gonna do the martingale buy. But if it's not 2, we are gonna call this function here, the if order open buy, and if it's equal 1, then we're gonna do the martingale buy. Same here, same thing for the second if. It's gonna do the trade, and if it's equal 1, we just call martingale sell. If this is not 1, then we'll call this function here, the if order open sell, and if it's 1, then we'll do the martingale sell. Okay. So let's take a look on the trade function. So the trade function is a trading condition based on the moving average. It will return 1. Well, it will return 0 to indicate an error, and it will indicate 1 if the operation will be a buy, or 2 if it should be a sell. That's how we're checking here, right? So this will do a buy if it's 2, and if it's 1, we'll make a sell. The trade is based on the IMA function. So the IMA, it's gonna calculate the moving average indicator and returns its values. So for that, we have the parameters that will be symbol, the time frame, the period, the time frame, the moving average period, then the shift, the average method, the applied price, and the shift. So, and then we're basically comparing here the first period with the second period. That means 1 minute with 50 minutes. And so the MA average period, MA average period, is the averaging period for calculation. That's why we're sending here as a period 1 and as period 2, right? And then we're gonna have the average method. That will be the mode SMA or 0. That represents that is a simple average. So here we're representing that it's a simple average. And then the applied price, it's a close. If it's 0, it will be a close the price close, that is the close price, and then the shift will just be the index of value taken from the indicator buffer. So if it's 1, means that it's the current one. Compare with the 1 period ago. So basically it's just comparing the two averages, the moving averages, to do a buy or a sell. After that, we have the if order open by, that is going to return true if it's a buy order, or false if it's a sell order. Or actually we need to check the other way around. So both functions, the if order open sell and the if order open buy, they're similar, right? As we can see, the only thing that will change is gonna be the type of operation. That here is a buy and here is a sell. That is the only difference between these two. So we're basically checking if the order symbol, the order type is gonna be buy, and then we send the symbol, the comment, and the magic number. This is a checking to see if this is the right, if it's doing on the right expert advisor, in case we have more than one running at the same time. And yeah, so the for starts from the total, because and it goes to 0, meaning that because the order totals, it's structured in the, not in the conventional way. So actually, like our current order is gonna be the current total 0. So it's starting from the beginning, and then it's going until the current one that we are, and it's just checking if it's a buy or not, right? That's all that it's asking for the on tick. So we already went through the trade and the if order open buying and the if order open sell. Now we are gonna go through the martingale buy and the martingale sell. So the martingale buy function, it's basically gonna check if the trade is allowed, and if it is allowed, then the EA is gonna order a buy, and will return 0, meaning that we'll exit and not return anything, basically. If it's a sell order, or if the number of bars are less than 100, or if the EA is not allowed to trade. So here in the beginning is basically verifying if the orders starts from the last one made, and it's checking if it's a sell order, and if it is a sell order, then we'll return 0 right here. Then we have the check for bars. If it's less than 100, then it will return 0. And here we're just checking to see if it's allowed to trade or not. So if it's not, it's going to return 0, and it's going to exit the function. If it is allowed to trade, we're going to increase the total transactions that we're having and check if we pass that total transaction or maximum trade, we will exit the buys. And if not, we're just gonna keep going, and we're gonna do some other checks to be able to order a buy. So that's what is happening here. We're gonna have the date, the verification of the date again, with a flag, as I mentioned before, and check if the previous date bar it's different than the current one. And here we have we're going through all the orders, and we're checking if it's an open deal in a current pair. So if it is, then we're just gonna keep going. If not, since we have the not here, if it's not, then it will return an error, and it's gonna tell us why. So if everything went well with the open a deal on a current pair, we're gonna increase the total transaction that we have checking if the symbol is the same, and then if it reaches the maximum trade, then it will exit the buys. If not, we're just gonna keep going. So exit buys. I'm just gonna take advantage and talk about exit sells too, because they're pretty much the same code. The only difference is that one is checking if the order type is buy, and the other one if it's order type sell. So basically what both functions are doing is it's closing an order, right? So it's closing an order that is opened. So in the case for exit buys, it's gonna close open by order, and it's gonna return true if it's successful or false if it's not. So this is why we're getting an error here. So if it's not true, meaning that if it's false, then we're gonna print an error. And the same thing for the exit sells. So we're closing an open order, right? And we're closing a sell open order, and the same thing happens. If it's true, it goes with it, and if it's false, it's just gonna print as an error. That's basically it. Okay, so continuing for our Martingale buy function, the next thing that will be happening will be this verification here, where it's checking if there is no open trade in the order pair. So let's take a look on this function. So for open order this pair, it's gonna choose a trade and gonna check if the current pair is the one that we selected. So basically that's what it's doing here. It's going through all the orders that we have and selecting the ones. It's selecting each of the trades, and then if it doesn't select, if it gets an error, it's just gonna print error. And if it's good, then it's gonna execute this. That is basically like gonna check if our order sample is the same as the pair that we're passing here as parameter, and if it is, then it's just gonna add a total, and we're gonna return this total. So coming back to our Martingale buy function, we checked here if there is any open order with this pair. So if there is none, right, we're gonna come inside, and then we're gonna realize we're gonna make a buy order. All right, basically what it's doing, it's this part of the code here, it's checking to see if there is money to borrow. So if we still have money to borrow, we're gonna place our buy order. So when we send here an order, we pass the symbols, the operation that will be the buy, the volume, so like the lot size that we want, and then volume, then the price. So this is gonna be the ask, and then this lead page, the stop loss. In our case, is gonna be 0, and the take profit. So this is just a normalization of all of this calculation. Okay, so our take profit is gonna be the ask plus the take profit times pips, and then we just added the comment of the EA and the magic number, so we make sure that we're placing the order with the right expert advisor. And if it doesn't happen, if it doesn't succeed, then we're gonna return an error. Okay, after that, we're gonna do the Martingale buy function that will check if the order price should be updated or not, and then we'll do the Martingale buy function. So that's what's happening here. We're gonna check if we do have more than one 0 orders. So like if we do have an order, then we check again date bar current with our, if it's different than our date bar previous. So if it's different, that's gonna be true, and then we're gonna come here and we're gonna execute it, the Go Martingale buy. So let's take a look on the Go Martingale buy. So Go Martingale buy, this function will check if the order price should be updated or not. And if the price is a downtrend, then should check the bid and place a new order with a new volume multiplied. So for that, we have some variables here. The first variable I count is just a variable to help in our loop. Then we have last OP, that will mean the last open price, the last lots, that will represent our last lots value. Then we have a button that will tell us if the last one is a buy or not. And then we're gonna have a total buy that will represent the total number of buy orders. And then we have the spread. The spread is the difference between the bid and the X value. So where the bid is the price buyer is willing to pay for security, and the ask is the price a seller is willing to accept for security, which is often referred as the offer price. That means that the ask price will always be higher than the bid value. Okay, so here we're just getting the spread value in points, and then we're gonna have for loop that it's gonna check if the order, we're gonna select an order, and if we cannot select that order, then it will give us an error print, and if not, it's gonna keep going to the other if. On this if, we're basically checking if the order type is a buy, the symbol, the comment, and everything to check if it's a buy order and if it's in this expert advisor. So first here we just gonna check if the last open price is equal 0. If it's equal 0, then we're gonna receive order open price from this trade that is happening right now. And then we're gonna do the last op. We're gonna check if it's bigger than the order open price, because if it's bigger, then it's just gonna receive the value of the open price. And then we're gonna check the last lots. We're gonna see if the last lot is smaller than the order lots, and if it is small, we're just gonna increase it for to receive the value of order lots. With this happening, we're gonna say that the last is buy is true, and then we're gonna increase our number of total buy orders. And then when we reach the total, that will be the max trade. We're just gonna check if the close max orders it's true, and then we're gonna exit the buys. Exit the buys, it's a function that it's gonna close the current open order. So that's basically what it's doing. Okay, and then we're gonna return false. Okay, so if the price is a downtrend direction, we're gonna check the value of the bid. So to ensure that the current bid is better in pips than the last one, or with the desired range to buy it. So this is what we're doing here. Okay, we're checking the bid, and then we're gonna check if we still have money to borrow, right? And again, we're gonna check that value if we do have the money to borrow, but this time it's gonna be multiplied by our multiply, that will be 2. And if we still have money to borrow, then we're gonna order a buy, right? So we're gonna order a buy, but this time we're gonna change the values, so the volume will be the multiplication of the last lots, and again we're gonna send the ask normalized and the same value here for the price. Okay, and after that, if it is successful, then we just order buy. If it's not, then we're gonna return an error. And if we don't have the money to borrow, we're gonna modify the take profit by. That means that we're gonna call this function, and the function is gonna change the order price and take the profit from the buy orders and request a modification of the previous open or pending orders. Then we set again our last byte to false and return false, and or if we done everything, we'll just return true. Okay. So Martingale sell is gonna be basically the same thing as Martingale buy with some minor changes. So I'm just gonna go really quick through it. It's the same stuff. The difference here is that instead of exiting a buy, we're gonna exit a sell. And here the same thing. If there is money to borrow for a sell operation, and then same here, we're gonna check the trade if we have money for a trade for a sell operation, and then we're gonna make an order, right? And this order is gonna be a sell operation, and instead of the price being the ask normalized, it's gonna be the bid normalized, and take profit instead of being the ask plus take profit times pips is gonna be the bid minus take profit times pips, and so on. And here, instead of calling go Martingale buy, we're gonna call go Martingale sell. Here again, go Martingale sell, it's gonna be basically the same thing as go Martingale buy with some minor changes. The difference here is that instead of having an I total buy, we're gonna have an I total sell, and this F is gonna be basically the opposite. We're gonna check if the last open price it's smaller than the actual one that we have. If it is, then we're gonna change the value. And again, if we hit the maximum trade, then we're gonna exit the sells and not exit the buys, because this is a sell order. Okay. Same thing here. We're gonna ensure that the ask is a better in pips than the last one, or with the desired range to sell. And then here we're checking again if we have money to borrow, and then if we do have money to borrow for a sell operation with the multiply times, so the last lots times 2 again, right? And then if we do, then we're gonna send an order again, sell operation, and instead of having the price being an ask, we're gonna send the bid, and the take profit, instead of being the ask plus time profit times pips, it's gonna be the bid minus take profit times pips. Okay. And then if we don't have money to borrow, then we're gonna have to modify the take profit of the sales. So what means that we're gonna change the order price and take profit from sales orders, and request a modification of the previous open or pending orders. And then we're gonna send false. Okay. So that's it. I hope you guys liked the video. Please feel free to email me to send feedbacks, or if you have any questions about this video, at lokino1@fiu.edu, or if you have any questions about the project, you can contact my mentor and project owner at sadjadi@cs.fiu.edu. Thank you for watching this video.